whispers in Vermilion. The mist came first. It wasn't tea, the kind that lifted with the morning or broke under the sun. It clung, thick and rust-colored, crawling through the alleys like something alive. Vermilion had always been that kind of town. Quiet, closed off, smothered by its own legends. The kind of place where people whispered instead of spoke, where even the church bell seemed reluctant to ring. Caleb Wren arrived with the confidence of a man who didn't believe in ghosts. He was a podcaster, an investigator of strange folklore and urban myths, someone who made a living from exposing the unexplainable. His last series, Echoes in the Dust, had gone viral. Now, Whispers in Vermilion was supposed to be his next masterpiece. The train had dropped him off at a station that looked abandoned decades ago. Even the air smelled wrong. Iron and rain, and something faintly sweet, like rotting apples. As he walked toward his rented room above the old bakery, his recorder hummed quietly, picking up the ambient sounds, the distant creak of a gate, the drip of condensation from street lamps, and beneath it all, something else, a faint hum, a voice too soft to be words, too close to be imagined. That night, as he sat cross-legged on the floor, editing his audio, his phone buzzed. One unread message, unknown number, no timestamp, no contact name. He opened it. We're not dead. We're fed. He stared. It had to be a prank. Locals had seen him asking questions all day. Maybe someone wanted to scare the outsider, but the chill that ran through him was real. The letters on the screen almost seemed to move, bleeding faintly, like ink in water. The next morning, the mist hadn't lifted. It pressed against the windows, heavy and red, swallowing the world beyond. Caleb wrapped his scarf tighter and headed into town. The people of Vermilion looked at him with a cautious politeness reserved for strangers who asked too much. The butcher didn't meet his eye. The librarian refused to speak above a whisper. At the corner cafe, a waitress leaned in close and murmured, "You should leave before nightfall. The fog gets thicker then." He laughed nervously. "Does it eat people, too?" She didn't smile. When Caleb returned to his room, he noticed his recorder light blinking. It had been left on, running all day. He pressed play, expecting the usual static, but what he heard made his skin crawl. Dozens of voices, layered and whispering in unison, chanting softly beneath the sound of dripping water. "We're not dead. We're fed." He ripped the headphones off, his pulse thrumming. That night, he dreamt of figures standing in the fog, faces he couldn't see, eyes that glowed faintly red. Their mouths opened, and a single word echoed from them all. Fed. He woke with a start, drenched in sweat. The room was dark, save for a faint crimson glow from the window. His phone buzzed again, a voice note this time. He pressed play. The whisper that came through was unmistakably female, soft, broken, trembling. "Caleb, we remember you." He froze. The tone was familiar, impossibly so. It was the voice of his mother, the one who had disappeared when he was 8. His breath caught in his throat. The rational part of him screamed that it couldn't be, that someone was manipulating his recordings. But another part, deep and wounded, wanted to believe. He opened his laptop, searching through archived files and local obituaries. And that's when he found it. Margaret Wren disappeared in Vermilion, 1998. His chest tightened. He had never known where she'd gone, only that she'd left one night and never come back. The next day, the fog was thicker than ever. The color wasn't just red now. It shimmered like liquid, like diluted blood suspended in air. He wandered the town square with his recorder, whispering notes for his next episode. Day 4. Locals continue to avoid me. Atmosphere worsening. Temperature dropping. Possible environmental cause to the color in the mist. He stopped. The air around him changed. The hum returned, lower now, vibrating in his bones. He turned slowly, and there, just beyond the fountain, a figure stood. A woman in a long dress, her hair silver white, her skin pale as milk. She smiled faintly and beckoned. "Mum," he whispered. The figure tilted her head. Then her mouth opened, and from it poured dozens of voices layered into one. "We're not dead. We're fed." Caleb stumbled backward, his recorder falling from his hand. The sound of the whispers grew louder, now filling the square, rising from the fog itself. Faces began to emerge. Men, women, children, all translucent, all watching him. He ran, bag in his room, shaking. He slammed the door and pressed his back to it. The whispers didn't fade. They filled the walls, the floor, the air itself. His reflection in the window flickered. For a moment, the version of himself staring back was pale, hollow-eyed, and smiling. He screamed and hurled the phone at the wall. The glass shattered, and from the speaker, his own voice played back. "We're not dead, we're fed." Tears stung his eyes. The truth began to unravel memory by memory, whisper by whisper. He wasn't just documenting the mystery of Vermilion. He was part of it. His mother's disappearance. The reason he'd felt drawn here. The graves in the cemetery that bore the name Wren. He had never left Vermilion. Not really. He looked down at his arm and saw faint bruises, crescent-shaped marks, as though fingers had clutched him too tightly. His veins pulsed faintly red, glowing through the skin. Outside, the fog began to rise higher, wrapping around the inn, around the town, swallowing the moonlight. He reached for his recorder one last time, hands trembling, and whispered into it, "This is Caleb Wren. If you hear this, don't come here. Vermilion isn't a place, it's a hunger. And I think I'm already the tape cut out." Later, someone found his abandoned gear in the square, coated in red dust. His last recording played in endless static. But if you listened closely, beneath the static, beneath the hiss, you could hear the faint echo of his voice whispering, not in warning, but in welcome. "We're not dead, we're fed." And somewhere in the thick, unending mist of Vermilion, a new whisper joined the others, soft at first, then growing stronger, feeding the fog, feeding the hunger that never slept. The red mist pulsed once more, like a heartbeat. "We're not dead, we're fed."